Alrighty, hello and good morning. I got some interesting news here today because yesterday I was testing something I was talking about in a video earlier, and shockingly, yeah, it's actually functioning. So, alright, let me put a couple little disclosures out there. First of all, if there's a little whistling in the background, I don't know if that's my headphones or if it's this setup right now. So I apologize if that's there. This is going to be a short one. Second of all, to go with this method, you got to be okay with a bit of jank. Like, personally, I'm okay with a pretty extreme level of jank if it's justifiable. I know that might seem a little weird given the whole War of the Lions thing the other day, but just as far as jank goes, like, if you normally can't play something a certain way, you kind of gotta temper your expectations a little bit. But for those that didn't know, every single game in the Ogre series is now technically playable on a Vita. Everything but OB64 is playable at full capacity. But yeah, as of the most recent version of Deadalus here, so Deadalus X64, specifically the Vita version, there is a PSP version, but it's still way too janky to run on that one. For those that didn't know, the main reason that these two are together, it's technically the same thing. It's just basically using extra hardware off of the Vita, as I understand it. But yeah, here's the deal. First of all, let me just show you the settings. I actually forgot to turn the sound back on. Because yeah, it can technically run with sound. I recommend not running it with sound. There's still some extreme graphical glitches. They're not nearly as bad as they were before. And it's technically playable because before it would crash after the first few missions and that kind of thing. This time around, it's not doing that so much. Okay, so here's how I have it set up. So dynamic recompilation for your first option here for your CPU just basically makes everything run faster. It says it has some issues, but as of the most recent version, they're not really that bad. Left the optimization options on. This is a new one as of the most recent version, as far as I can tell. High-level emulation, I haven't seen too much of a difference from this, but it sounds like something that should stay on. For some reason, turning off the expansion pack helped. I'm not sure why, because usually this is just a strict bonus, so I'm not really sure why that would be. Limiting the frame rate seemed to help as well. Syncing audio and video rate did not. Both of these ended up having issues. For some reason, speeding up the audio rate actually did make it slow down the audio, which was odd, and trying to sync the video rate made it chug so hard that the thing was pretty much ready to keel over and die. So graphics-wise, aspect ratio, it seemed to function best at 4.3. Render-wise, you don't really have much of an option. The other one's not really working yet. For texture caching, leaving it as accurate seemed to do the job best. I tried turning it off, and it started giving some weird visual glitches. But yeah, performance-wise, accurate seemed just fine. Turned off by linear filtering. AA, don't even turn it on. Once again, it'll chug and die. Overlays, I mean, these don't really do anything. They're just like little visual stuff you can do. Min maps, turn that off. High-res textures, turn that off. VSync off. VRAM, I would have assumed would normally help, but it didn't seem to help at all. And then waiting for rendering didn't really seem to help much either. So, all right, without any further ado, let's take a look at this thing. And yeah, temper those expectations, but at least it's technically playable. Like, I mean, I'm used to a pretty extreme level of jank, like I mentioned before. I mean, I've played New Vegas on PS3 on launch day. That thing was, oh boy, it was fittingly gambling related. Actually, why is the audio not playing right now? That's odd. Hang on, let me double check that it's that I actually did leave the audio on. Oh, there we go. So yeah, it's gonna be so the audio does slow it down for some reason. When it comes to audio on the whoa, that's new. All right, so this is the first time attempting to stream this thing, by the way, so not sure what that's all about. Anyway, let's give it a quick second here to figure out what's going on. That's a fantastic start. All right, let's go ahead and reset that. I'm not sure what just happened there. I think it's just because I tried to edit audio settings in the middle of it playing an audio file. You know what? You find something new every day. But yeah. N64 emulation is an odd duck. Stuff does not seem to want to emulate properly most of the time, as far as I've seen. Like, it seemed like it was a whole long story for well, for almost anything to start running an N64. I mean, like, phones can do it pretty reasonably now. PCs can obviously do it. This version, strangely enough, with the sound turned off, actually did seem to run smoother than the PC version, which kind of shocked me. Again, this is with a bunch of visual jank. As you can see, we're still missing some of our stuff here. Here, let's set that one properly. Properly save these settings. So yeah, normally that sound does play. With Deadalus, you do have to remember to save your settings pretty much all the time. It's kind of annoying on that one. But yeah, so like I said, as far as the level of jank, I mean, I've literally played New Vegas before, even on a under-spec laptop, trying to do video recording while running the thing modded, while not even being able to afford a mouse at the time, so it was just basically with a friggin' mouse pad. Wouldn't recommend it that way, but, you know, it's there. Alright. So, yeah, a lot of stuff does function. So go ahead and reload that one real quick. Which, by the way, I wonder if this overwriting feature is something that they wanted to do for Night of Lotus, but just never really could get it to do it without crashing or something. But yeah, as you can see, the sound does not instantly cause it to crash. There's definitely visual bugs. Personally, I've just gone ahead and turned off... interesting. So, for some reason, on the playback here, the background is a bit darker than usual. So yeah, okay. Overworld and some cutscene text boxes are crunched. I don't know what causes it. I think it's the same visual bug that's actually happening from... what's it? What the hell is it called? So, you'll see here. So, the in-battle sprites are still blacked out. This is why I was saying just, you know, you can just play with animations turned off. The animations seem to function fine. Even the crazier fights don't seem to slow anything down. It's just I don't really want to look at this too often. So yeah, if you're just kind of going for the raw gameplay of the whole thing to try and learn stuff, like, for example, I am now, since I've been hoping to learn more about this game for ages, but then just kept running into issues. The C-stick acting weird is actually just my Vita's janky thumbsticks. This has come up a lot in the past, but yeah, just kind of something to know there, that obviously Vitas do still have janky thumbsticks. Oh, by the way, one thing I should mention, oh yeah, right, you can't do L. For some reason I thought you could do L to trigger back. One thing I should mention, I've actually been enjoying this way more since using the default control scheme. I know this seems stupid, but when I was emulating it off Project 64, it automatically switched it to a PS4 controller layout, which actually moves all of the buttons pretty much counterclockwise. Yeah, this one has felt way more natural. It actually seemed to help with a lot of the UI jank that I kept complaining about for this game. It's strange how a slight difference in position of the buttons does that, but yeah. So yeah, when it comes to these sprites and things like that, expect some cutscenes to look weird. Expect some weirdness in general. But yeah, it doesn't crash, so that's nice. Again, that's a major step forward. It's at least technically playable. I would recommend not playing it with the audio. I just wanted to show that it's working. I'll just have her go ahead and take a nap here. But I feel like within a few patches, this is probably going to be completely normal here. So yeah, shockingly, yeah, the Vita can now play the entire series at like 95%. Like visual glitch-wise, the cutscenes probably have it the worst. Like the briefings are just a black screen, which makes me... Okay, so it makes me think that the actual visual glitch here is not so much that the textures aren't loading. Like, for example, if we go over to the organized screen, this might just be like a JPEG they shoved in there, but you can see, like, the models are properly showing up there. But yeah. It might just be a JPEG that they put in the screen here. But one thing I will say, like when looking at the briefing map, which we'll take a look at here in just a sec, it has it has an interesting thing where the map does show up at the very end, like when it needs to move and fly away. But everything before then, it'll show the layers. Like for example, it'll show the arrows happening. It'll show some of the formations and things like that. So what it makes me think is that potentially there's an issue where the main textures that we're actually hoping to find are just somewhere off in the background. So to my understanding, that's potentially what the issue is. Yeah, it's just putting stuff in the wrong order. So it might actually be rendering everything that it wants to. Now, maybe I'm completely wrong on that. I've tried asking around to see if anybody might potentially have a little bit more knowledge on that. But yeah, so far I haven't really gotten a solid answer on it. Granted, I've only been asking since last night, since only yesterday in the afternoon did this finally come up. But like, here's the kind of stuff we're looking at. So I don't know what originally was supposed to be showing up in the background where that white square is, but presumably they had some kind of effect going on back there. You see that with most moving UI elements, but as you can see, the animations are fine. The game does have the textures available, so it's not like it's just like, oh, I don't know what to do with these textures. So yeah, bear in mind it obviously will slow down if you're playing with audio. If we go over to audio and turn it off, suddenly stuff is way more quiet, but way more crisp. I mean, it basically does it actually show frame rate right now? Yeah, like it stays pretty solidly around 30 if you have the audio turned off. But instead, we can have some janky audio. So, would I recommend this as the optimal way of playing the game? God, no. Would I recommend it if you have a Vita and you want to hold out hope for this thing being, you know, perfectly solid as time goes on? Yeah, sure, why not? I was really happy about this. I know it doesn't seem like much, but this is a major leap forward from the crazy nightmare that it was before. I mean, you do still see some cases, like basically any interactable element that's going on in a cutscene, which, by the way, this might provide some pretty interesting background in terms of what elements are where. Like every time you see a door, you see this kind of like weird diamond situation because every part of the door has to be separately animated, I assume. So yeah, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. Now I have dramatic cutscenes, but now they're working properly. The sound is actually playing. You can have dramatic cutscenes with unusual visuals. So if you just pretend like, I don't know, just pretend everybody's Mr. Negative or the entire sun turned off, who knows? This is basically Pitch Black meets Ogre Battle in a way. But yeah. So at least the animations and stuff are working again. It isn't crashing. It is completely workable. I'm basically going through this cutscene now to be able to show the UI elements. Because, yeah, the UI does function properly. I haven't seen any visual glitches in the organized screen or anything along those lines. It's strictly cutscenes and battle sprites. Alright, so let's go over to that to show you what I mean. Other than that, like, you see the usual emulation kind of jank where, like, for example, you've got the 4-section screen that comes up, or you've occasionally just got the weird artifacting. So I've seen that on every version that's emulated this, and even on some official N64 recordings and stuff like that. So there's that. So to kind of show that yeah, is there anyone we can potentially change classes for? Here, first of all, let's replace soldiers. Got to make sure that this group has everything they need. Let's go ahead and change some classes somewhere. Yeah, it's bizarre how much more natural this feels, actually. So, for example, if we wanted to change him to a ninja... do I want to still change him? Yeah, I mean, sure, why not? Just to show the animation here. So yeah, they can still change it. They have their model. It's just as soon as that model starts moving that it can't really figure out what to do. So yeah, if anybody happens to potentially have an idea on how to fix this, I would greatly appreciate it, because it's basically the last step to make this run properly. But yeah, hopefully this is useful for someone out there. Hope you guys have a good one. Take care. Also, for a second there, I thought this dude's name was Yum. But yeah, you guys have a good one. Take care. And yeah, hopefully gonna have way more OB64 stuff coming out once I finally have a chance to do several more practice runs and understand this game a bit deeper. Because I love the mechanics in it. It's just I haven't, you know, still digging into it. So, anywho, now onto a Phil Seal stream. So see you guys there.